Helton in East Ridge City Court, an attorney by trade, is a man who is gracious and better than his job. His job is to operate a municipal court that is a small change skimming operation for municipal government of East Ridge. It's like city courts all across the state. There are hundreds of them, and they serve counties. They're called sessions courts in that case, or they serve cities. They are called a corporation court in that in them you have your case processed, but your rights are not strictly protected in that court, but you accept that because you are willing to have the matter moved on expeditiously. It is a system. City courts, corporation courts are a system whereby the state can system that, by my analysis, operates illegally and outside the scope of the authority of Title 55, which is the Transportation Code. We are, in our use of the roads, governed by two codes: 65, which is on highways, and 55, which is on transportation. And transportation, of course, is different from travel. It is a category of travel, and it is the commercial part of travel. So if you are on the road in a truck or a cab or a hauling instrumentality of some kind, an instrumentality in commerce, you are involved in transportation. You're making a profit through the extraordinary use of the road by using it for hire. You're carrying goods or you're carrying people for hire. You're making a profit, and therefore you're subject to regulation. Why is that? Well, because you're damaging the roads, you're wearing the roads, especially if you have a 40-ton truck, and you are raising risks to the public. And so you're subject to having your vehicle inspected, your tires checked, your brakes checked, and your cargo looked at, your manifests inspected, almost at whim by the THP and other authorities, because you are using the roads in an extraordinary manner. But private people, such as Tiffany McQuinn, who works in a restaurant, she is using the roads for a private end and is not subject. But we have a court system which uses Title 55 effectively to grind the poor, who are private users, upon the stone of the legal machinery. This is David Tulis. Caller, make it quick. I've got a lot to get to, and we're going to hear a little bit about how this system works, and how I would like to suggest it is an oppression, and it grinds primarily the common people of our city and of our county. And I would put into that category the biblical categories first: aliens and strangers, A; B; widows and orphans, B; and then in our country we have minorities. That would be African Americans or blacks, A; and then B, that would be also Hispanics. And that's what we have in city courts across the county and across the state. We have the poor, the common, and these are often people who are ignorant of their rights, do not know how to defend their rights, and simply go into city court to have their cases disposed of, hoping for the best. They end up with a small fine. Cost in East Ridge, the court cost is $98.50 per shot. So sometimes you get two court costs named to your case, in which case you have to pay 98.5 times 2 plus the fee, which could be, in one case, that by my count, $222 just to get out. The offenses are among the Hispanics. They are driving without a license. It's no DL, as it's called on the docket, and also no registration, no insurance. And then sometimes there is a traffic offense that would be not using an indicator, having a tag light that's out, going too fast, running a stoplight or stop sign, that kind of thing. You are subject to the traffic rules under transportation, and so those rules are hitting you over the head with them. And that is the initial cause for your being in that court. But here is a woman named Tiffany McQuinn. When I heard the details of her woes before a very sympathetic judge, Chris Helton, in East Ridge City Court, I couldn't help but want to hear more. This is David Tulis with Newgate Radio. I'm outside the city court in East Ridge. I'm talking with Tiffany McQuinn. Tiffany, what happened today before Judge Helton? Explain why you were in front of him, and then what happened, and then what's the story behind your sad situation?
Well, I have a suspended license, and I have been caught driving on a suspended license, and I have the total fees for the suspended license is we're going to round it off at $13,500. $13,500. Now they have a system to where they have a program now to where you can get on a payment plan. But I have a DUI from 10 years ago, but it has to be paid in full. That
It has to be paid first.
It has to be paid first. You cannot get on a payment plan until that is paid first. They will not work with you, and for that, that's about $1,400. And
$1,400 of the earlier one, the 10-year ago one, and then you have $13,000 on top of that.
Well, it's all together, but that has to be paid first. And now I will tell you, the judge has worked with me several times, but I just told him, there's literally nothing that I can say. I cannot afford it. I at work, I do not receive food stamps. I do not receive any kind of public assistance at all. I do have a child, my son's father. He is very active in his life, and I do, I receive him that, but I still have monthly rent, $800 a month. I have, I have to pay. I can't afford it. With me not being able to drive, now I have to pay to get cabs, Uber, and everything. I have my son plays baseball, football, basketball, and he has to be able to get there. His dad helps out, but I have to do my part too. That costs as well. So yes, I cannot afford it. I cannot afford, it's dropped down now because we've been paying on it. I've been paying on it. It's dropped down now to $700, but
$700 a month.
$700 now is what I have to pay, but that's still a lot of money. As I said, my rent is $800, and they're not going to take payments. Well, I have paid on it, but I can't when I come to court because he had the option to tell me, well, you're gonna if he would have declared me guilty, if I would have been guilty, then it would have been everything that I paid would have been for nothing. And now as today, I've paid up a total of to $1,400.
And you have still more than $10,000 to go.
Way more than that. Way more than that. And I can't, it's nothing I can do but keep doing what they say is paying it. But because I don't want to be in jail. I have a kid. I have a whole family at home to take care of. So I have to do what the court say do. And then when I come in front of the judge and he asks me, why don't you have your license? This is why. Because I can't afford it.
What is your line of work and what is your income?
I'm a server. And I don't want to say my place of business. I'm serving the Burton. I don't want to say my place of business. But my weekly income is about, let's say $750 a week. You know what I mean? And I have to piece stuff together. Like I said, I also have kids that live with me. I have to take care of them. They don't have an income at all.
And you mentioned, ma'am, that you had to the judge that you had another child coming into your household.
Yes, I do have another child that is in my household. So that's what I meant by two kids.
Is it possible that you can be on the road apart from driving? Is there any way you can use a car and not have a driver's license and do it legally, or is it impossible?
You cannot. If you are on the road and you don't have a license, you will go to jail. You will. Now, I will also say this. I do know instances where people have not went to jail. But every time the reason why I'm here now is because I had to use the car to pick my son up from the bus stop. And that's why and that was 2 years ago. I've not been caught driving since then. Do not drive. And I have not, anytime I've ever been pulled over, and it was from a broken headlight, and I'm still fighting this now. I'm not fighting it. I'm still paying for it. Because, it's against the law. I cannot say anything about it. It's against the law. But it's just hard trying to get the situation better.
And if you can't get on the road to go somewhere, you are effectively under a death sentence, right? You're under a civil death sentence because without movement, you can't get to work, you can't do favors, you can't go to church, you can't go to the drugstore, you can't go shopping. I
will say this. I'm not going to say that it's just more difficult because regardless of me not driving, I'm still I have no choice but to make things happen. I don't care if I have to walk. If I've walked to work, I've walked to the store, I've walked to feed my kids, I've walked to feed myself, and I will continue to do so because I don't want to be in jail. If I'm in jail, I can't take care of my kid. But it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard. It's so much just to get my license back. And I told you just before, I don't even want them no more. But if I don't go to court, I go to jail. You know what I mean? If I don't go to court, go to jail. So I have to do what they say.
This is David Tullis, and you've been hearing the tale of woe from Tiffany McQuinn, who works works as a waitress in a restaurant. She lives in East Ridge, and her story is typical among the poor who can't get out from under a system essentially of state slavery. It is a system of state slavery where somehow she has aggregated to herself against her in the red up to $14,000 that she has to pay. Can a woman like that pay ever the debt she has for her violations of the transportation law? And notice she is not, all the references to her use of the car are not involved in transportation. She is simply traveling. She is traveling. And I think it's time that I make notice to East Ridge through Transportation Administrative Notice Tennessee of what the scope of the law actually is. The scope of the law in Tennessee is that the transportation statute applies to people in transportation. Also yesterday, I met just to put a face on the problem, right? We have a problem here. It's not just a legal problem of ultra vires enforcement, which is to say enforcement outside the scope of the law, which is what happens against everybody in every city court in the state, is ultra vires enforcement by custom. It is custom. It is commercial government. It is a form of marketing of state authority and state control over the people, which it doesn't legally have, but which it has in practice with the support of the high court in its legal fiction, which says that travel is only the change of domicile from one state to another. That is the only thing which is constitutional travel. There is no other form of travel, the high court says in several rulings, that is travel. So going to church, going to take her son, when Tiffany takes her son to ball practice A, ball practice C, he's a very active boy. That is transportation. And yet the statute and many court cases, even cases that rule against this position, they make it clear that there is a distinction in the law and in custom and in reality between transportation and travel. Here now is Griselda Salanik, who works in a restaurant. She's a kitchen staffer at a restaurant. She was charged with no driver's license. Again, I think that's an abuse of the exhibit on demand statute by police routine. It's a routine abuse of a statute that applies only to licensees. It was applied against her, one on the road without a license. And so here's her story. David Tullis, I'm talking with Griselda Salanik, 19. What happened the night when you were accused of traveling on the road without a driver's license? When was it? What time of day was it? And what were the circumstances?
It was on a Sunday morning. It was like around 3:30 in the morning. It was raining, and I was just trying to go pick up my friend because that was his car. So I was just trying to go pick him up, and I don't know. All of a sudden, I just saw the lights, the police lights, and so I got pulled over.
So you were on private business? You were just doing personal
private
business. You were.
Yes.
Were you traveling? Was anyone, when you were in your car, paying you to be there to carry goods or people for hire? Were you doing that?
No. Wait.
Okay, so you were in the car doing just private business, your personal affairs.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Were you frightened by the officer?
Now what? What would I?
I don't know, what country are you from?
I'm from Guatemala.
Guatemala. The Guatemalans are said to be the hardest working people around, and if a man in this country has a need for someone to work hard, he hires a man or a woman from Guatemala. They're very hardworking people. What about your family? Are they hardworking people? And are you hardworking at the restaurant?
Yes, I am, and they are too.
What does your dad do in Guatemala and your mom? Or are they here?
They are here.
Okay. How long have they been in the country?
Too, my dad.
We'll stop right there. This is David Tullis, and we're talking with two people who are part of the powder mixture, the grinding operation of City Court. Not that there's anything particularly abusive of East Ridge City Court. It's like every other one. The problem that I'm trying to bring into view here behind these the sweet faces of these two women is the operation of a statute, and that is a statute for transportation that is applied to people who are not involved in transportation except by rebuttable presumption. They're there by what's called a rebuttable presumption, and that is the fact that they don't make a defense that they're not involved in commerce. And so I have effectively demanded that Sheriff Jim Hammond, who's seeking re-election, and also City of Chattanooga by notice, that a new question be inserted in the arrest protocol in these two jurisdictions. The question is very simple. Ma'am or sir, are you using this car or truck tonight is for hire or in a for-profit capacity? Question mark. That's it. And if the person says, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm just going to the store, or I don't know, then the authority of the officer at that point needs to be clearly seen by him as not existing. In other words, it stops at that point. Once he asks that question, he cannot go any further because his authority is only in transportation. It is not against any private user. And though the high court would say he can continue to harass this person and to cite this person or even to arrest this person, in the statute, in Tennessee Code Annotated 55, pursuant to the federal law, which is in U.S. Code 49, pursuant to federal law, this officer has no more authority because he's no longer involving himself with someone who's a private user. In transportation, he's dealing with a private user over which he has no authority unless he has an actual probable cause for an actual crime. There's a problem here, okay? And I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Now, we want to mention that there has been election, and in the county commission, Tim Boyd won re-election, I would say handily, against Brent Lambert, the mayor of East Ridge, and also the other upset in the news this morning or late last night is that Sheriff Eric Watson in Bradley County fell before Steve Lawson. And I'm just about to come out with a story about the Valdacia Whaley abusive arrest by the Bradley County Sheriff's Office. The reason it's worth putting out there is that I believe it's a routine operation of law enforcement against private people and harassing profane with profanity and obscenities from the lips of county employees in Bradley County, falling into the ears of a minor girl. Her name is Valdacia Whaley. And we're not going to hear more about that now, but do stay tuned to yournews.com. At yournews.com, our chief sponsor, you can read that story. Will Steve Lawson reform the practices in Bradley County? I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that there's the means to force these officers out, these bad-mouthed officers out. And abusive officers out. And we do cover this. And if you have a story of this kind, please be sure to contact me, David Toulis, your host here at 92.7 FM. Now, I have with me here Judy Carr. Judy, you were at a meeting last night in East Ridge, a very important meeting, one of several. One will be taking place, in fact, Thursday in East Ridge, sponsored by the East Ridge Housing and Redevelopment Authority. But before that happens on Thursday, tomorrow, there was one yesterday. What was the meeting about yesterday, and what was the main point, and what did you get out of it?
Well, our meeting last night was to organize the citizens of East Ridge who are involved in this eminent domain situation, to organize us into an association, and we're the East Ridge Citizens United for Property Rights. And this will help us to fight against the city of East Ridge in wanting to take our land for their benefit. Robert McNamara, who is an attorney with the Institute for Justice, came and he talked with us, explained to us that we needed to organize the different aspects that we needed to follow, such as staying in contact with the media, staying in contact with the East Ridge government, keeping the members of the association involved, keeping us informed, making sure that we show up in force at any council meeting, no matter what time that it is. Even if it's a special meeting or the regular meeting, we are to stand together. If it comes down to that the city of East Ridge does invoke the eminent domain, then we will go to battle. We will go to court. Robert McNamara is going to stand with us. Right now, he is working with us in an advisory capacity and helping to teach us what we need to do to move forward to fight eminent domain. We're fighting it in the city of East Ridge, but this isn't just a problem in the city of East Ridge. This could happen anywhere in the state of Tennessee. We all need to stand up, tell our representatives, our state government, that we're not going to stand for the state or the government coming in and taking our land. We need to get with our senators, our representatives in the state of Tennessee, and get them to amend this eminent domain act to cover up the loopholes that allow governments to come in and take private property to use as private use. Eminent domain is for public use. It's for roads. It's for schools. It's for hospitals. It is not to increase a tax base for the city.
And so what you're saying, Judy Carr, is that under the redevelopment statute, which gives eminent domain authority to the East Ridge agency, that authority can be used to take land where the recipient of the property is not, as you say, an object of public use like a school or a road, but a company. It could be a retail store. It could be a factory, which creating a tax revenue stream for the city is ostensibly the public benefit, right? There is a public connection to it through taxation, but that in the end just really allows for effectively the rape of private homeowners or private property owners for the benefit of some other private property owner who will simply be paying taxes like you do.
Yes, that's right. We do feel like that we're being molested in this situation. I can understand you do need tax dollars in order for a city to run. I understand that. There is limitations that they have for maintaining this tax base. But going in and stripping people of their homes is not a good way. It is not good community relationships. This will destroy the city of East Ridge. This is tearing us apart right now. We need to unite. We need to stand together.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying, and the other 60 or so residents of East Ridge who attended the meeting last night with the attorneys from Institute for Justice, what you really want is if there is development, if there are gains in commerce, new retail outlets, new restaurants, and maybe light industry in East Ridge, be it by voluntary means by the operation of the marketplace and not by a superior plan, a superintending plan that looks down searchingly upon the city, organizes people, moves people around as might be players on a chessboard. You don't want that, because that uses compulsion and coercion, agony, if you will, in court action. You want it to be by the marketplace.
Yes. If they are interested in a piece of property and wanting to redevelop it, then work with that property owner. Talk with that property owner. Explain to that owner what you want, what the city is wanting to do. Reach an agreement with the property owner. Don't just come in and threaten us and tell us that you're going to take our land for a fair market value, which already having eminent domain has reduced our property values.
Right. Eminent domain, Judy Carr, a widow living in East Ridge, you're suggesting the very operation of that just reduces property value. And you know, it does affect it kind of affects your heart and spirit too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Under that kind of threat.
Yes, I feel I'm under that threat, and I feel like I'm going to be living under that threat as long as that board exists and as long as this plan exists.
This is David Toulis and Judy Carr. Thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome, David.
This is David Toulis. We are covering local economy and free markets in East Ridge and beyond. Of course, that includes you, my listener, wherever you might be. We're live on Facebook at Nougat Radio and on the TuneIn Radio app at Nougat Radio. Thank you for giving us a minute of your time. And now some important messages.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Shots fired in SWAT on scene after a standoff at Eastlake Courts. CPD said 2 suspects exchanged shots with the police and each other and barricaded themselves in different apartment buildings at Eastlake Courts. Homes in the area were evacuated and children were taken away on buses, but by the time the police managed to get to the apartment buildings and the SWAT teams cleared them, they discovered their suspects were missing. They're believed to be armed, dangerous, and on the run. A bad guy on the run stopped by a good guy with a gun. East Ridge police say that Sean Sisk had multiple warrants out for his arrest in different jurisdictions, including Chattanooga. Most recently, he was accused in a Walgreens robbery that got a lot of attention on social media, and the culprit's photo was posted online.